So yesterday we started with waterfall model, and this 1074 also we did for defining any software process, and then we moved to waterfall model. In waterfall model we completed it, and then we discussed about the problems with waterfall model. Okay, it was that it's very rare that in real life that systems with the stable requirements they exist. Okay, so due to that, sometimes waterfall model may not be applicable, and then to client even the requirements are may not be well understood, and due to that also sometimes it creates problem, and mostly used for large systems where teams are distributed. And one thing is, and if you go through these all, they indicate towards that you need to freeze your requirements in the beginning in case of waterfall model. But it is very difficult, as it's mentioned that the stable requirements, it's very difficult to have stable requirements. So if there are changing requirements, then waterfall model may not suit. And then there is evolutionary development. In evolutionary development, it is a kind of, as its name says, it's evolving in nature. So there is exploratory development and throwaway prototyping. And both are the same. Like in EAD, I explained in a way that throwaway prototyping and evolutionary prototyping. Okay, so prototyping, you need to revise from EAD those slides. But prototyping, I can tell you that you can have a kind of, you can say, model on paper. Okay, on paper, you will create a system, and then you will see with the hand running whether it will work or not. So that is also a prototype. And I considered one example, like if you want to buy a car, so maybe that you have a leaflet of the car, that is also a prototype. Then maybe that you will visit that particular website of that make, and maybe that you will go through the certain specifications, even 360 view also you can see, that is also a prototype. Okay, before actually requesting the company for a test drive, you can explore these all prototypes also. So two types of exploratory or evolutionary or throwaway kind of prototype. So exploratory is like you can go through, objective is to work with customers and to evolve a final system from an initial outline specification, should start with well understood requirements and add new features as proposed by the customer. Okay, as its name suggests, that it is customer, you will work with customer and customer will keep on telling you the new features. It means it is that requirements will change. So they'll keep on adding, maybe with the experience of that prototype, the initial prototype which you have given them, with that experience, customer will come to know that no, along with this, I need this also. So maybe a time will come when customer will tell you all the features and your requirements are ready. Okay, so in that way, that particular prototype may become the final system to be delivered in case of evolutionary. But in throwaways, you're starting with total blind, that nothing is known. Objective is to understand the system requirements. Should start with poorly understood requirements to clarify what is really needed. Okay, poorly understood, or you can say total blind. And mainly, I think we discussed that for R&D projects, this prototyping is useful. Maybe throwaway prototyping is useful because there doesn't exist any such type of system, and you have to start from zero. Okay, maybe that in that case, with few iterations, you will come to know that you are going in a wrong direction. So then till that, you will all prototypes you will throw away, and again you will start with. Okay, so it is a kind of that you'll create these all kind of prototypes, and in that case, it is, you never know that in after nth iteration you have to throw it away. So you'll determine the requirements with all these prototypes. You'll at one stage maybe that you'll come to know all requirements, and requirements are huge, and then you can decide in what way you are to develop, with what methodology you are to develop. And this diagram also we discussed very briefly in EAD also. So it is, means it's a kind of that outline description is available. Okay, outline description means maybe 1%, 2% requirements are known, and with that you will come up with, I told you that in Sumer Relay there is one space is there, so you can remove that. Concurrent activities, here is specification, development, and validation. Means all these are concurrent activities with all rough type of, or you can say 1% set of requirements. You will specify them, you will develop them, and then you will test them. Again, there will be feedback after testing. It will come to development. Maybe it will further develop. Maybe through that iteration, customer will come up with the feedback that new specifications, new requirements will come. Again, you will specify, you'll come back, you will develop, and then again test. Means it is a kind of very fast kind of, because you have to specify, develop, and validate, or maybe you have to develop and get tested from the customer. Customer will be always with you in this concurrent activities. So from these specifications only, there may be initial version, and then there may be an intermediate versions which you will keep on developing. So in case of these all versions, when you will get the feedback, and then further you will improve, and one day maybe that you will come up with the final version, so that the final version is ready, and then you can deliver that. But uh, as in waterfall, there are certain issues. So the same as in case of this thing, prototyping also, there are certain issues. I hope screen is visible to all. So then we'll come up with the final version, and see the kind of problems with the prototyping. Okay, with evolutionary development, there is lack of process visibility, because it is always that developer and client will keep on interacting, and whatever they will tell, you'll develop it, and then again you will get it validated, and sometimes it is very difficult to even specify those requirements. So you may forget, okay, you may miss to document them, to specify them, and then there is no process that you developed in which methodology you developed, maybe object oriented or procedural, or maybe list processing, what kind of development you have done, and after that which type of test cases you applied, and which type of testing you applied. Nothing is documented, because it is totally, you can say, in kind of informally you are discussing with your client, and again coming back, again developing, again going to client for evaluation. And then systems are often poorly structured, because it is all see, if it is that you have to get it evaluated by the client, you need not to bother about the back end. You will just create the front end, because user will understand only the front end. So that's why you'll keep on adding on front end, and you'll get it evaluated that it will look like this, it will look like this, or it will look like this. So back end you are not completing. Okay, maybe your databases are not right kind of volume is there, or right kind of attributes columns, they are not there. So they need to be done later on. So that's why systems are oftenly poorly structured in a way that whatever client will tell, because client doesn't know, client task force do not know that how the system is structured, which module will become on top as main, then all child modules or the derived modules, these kind of. So it's not, because client is not a developer, they don't understand that. They'll keep on adding their requirements, and based upon that, you as a developer will keep on developing also. So that's why the structured approach sometimes will get compromised, and most of the times will get compromised. Special skills, for example, in language for rapid prototyping may be required, because here you cannot say that my system analyst will interact with the client and will get the requirement, will specify it, and then will come up with the design, and then you will develop. No, it is you only that you will get the evaluation, and those evaluations, if you will go for documentation and getting it for consistency or completeness, then it will be wastage of time. Your client is not going to wait for that. That was the one reason in case of waterfall, that wait time is very long, development time is very long, when customer will tell you the requirements, and when you will go to the client first time, that will be means for requirement validation, or for that what we say, that alpha testing. Okay, at the time of testing, client will come. So in between there is a huge gap of time. So maybe that customer may forget the instances which they discussed with the system analyst. But here it is immediately you will tell, and then you will come up with another prototype. So programming skills are also required in this case, in case of prototyping. But in case of waterfall model, it may not be required, because there is different kind of roles are there. Domain experts are there responsible for determining the requirements. Then applicabilities for small or medium size of interactive systems. In that case, you can apply prototyping for parts of large systems. like user interface, in which maximum user interaction is required. For short lifetime systems, very small kind of, that you need to use them only for 1 month. So you need not to go for all kind of huge documentation or these kind of. So you know that after 1 month, anyway, it was a transition kind of, and for that purpose only I required this. Okay, so this is means this is also one kind of, and it may be only for requirement determination, or it may be for complete development also. Then comes component-based software engineering. I think this will come later. So, see, you have seen waterfall. Waterfall also has problems. Now to overcome those problems, we tried prototyping, that let's make it fast, and requirements need not to be freezed in the beginning, but still there are also problems with the prototyping. So all these problems are resolved, and the best practices of waterfall and of prototyping, they are combined, and Bohem suggested is another model, that is spiral model. Let's move to spiral. This we will come back later. This is spiral development. So uh, let's understand this first, this diagram, and then we will come to the theory part also. So here it is. Uh, the whole, you can say, the spiral development, it is divided into four quadrants, and if you remove spaces, it will be determine objectives, alternatives, and constraints. It's one, you can say, quadrant. The second quadrant is evaluate alternatives, identify and resolve risks. Okay, risk, this is now, till now you have not studied risk, and even in development also, till the spiral model, risk term was not there. Risk was first introduced by Bohem in spiral model. We will discuss that also. And the third quadrant is develop, verify, next level product. Okay, here you'll get the product from here, you'll develop it, then you'll verify it, and the next level product, sorry. Then comes plan next phase. Okay, so these four quadrants are there. Now you will say that it is also means because waterfall model was sequential in nature, and prototyping is iterative in nature. So the best practices of both means sequential linearity of the waterfall model and the iterative nature of the prototyping has been hybridized into spiral model. See in what way, that these four phases you have seen, that determine objectives, alternatives, and constraints. Then here evaluate alternatives and risk analysis, and resolving the risks also. Then develop and verify, and the next level. And then here plan next level. So these are, you can say, sequential in nature. But how it will start? Say from here, the inner spiral. Okay, it will start from here. It is actually the blast off. Means here review is there. In this review, you are determining the objectives, and then on the basis of these objectives, you are suggesting the alternatives. Alternatives we were suggesting in case of that feasibility study, if you remember. Okay, in feasibility study, I told you that on the basis of this four type of feasibility, that we evaluate the different alternatives, and which one is the best score, with which that matrix, feasibility matrix we discussed, and in that we calculate the score for all technical, economy, then operational, and the schedule risk, and we give the marks, and whichever alternative has the best score, that will be considered as the alternative to further develop the project. So same here is evaluate the alternatives, or determine the alternatives, and the constraints, like integrity constraints are there in your database, or existential, preferential, these kind of constraints are there, in which requirements are preferred one, or they have the more priority than the other, so they will act as constraints. So this is it's a kind of the preliminary review here in the inner spiral, and then immediately after that, whatever you have determined these objectives, what risks are associated with that. Now let me tell you what is the risk. See, if we otherwise consider, what you will call as a risk? Anybody? What do you consider is a risk? Maybe in English terms or any way. Yes, anybody want to speak?
So a risk would be something like which is harmful to the development of the project or which hinders the development of the project.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else?
So risk are the chances of the system getting into a failure state.
In the failure state. Very true. Anything else? Risk, if we are talking about risk, we are talking about today, past, yesterday, or future, tomorrow.
So both today and future.
Today and future. But that is there that not at all about the past. It will be today and future. Means you can think of that. See, say if you are starting from your home, okay. So now it is that in the COVID time, coming out of your house is also risky. Because we say it is risky. Why it's a risk? Means if you will go out, you may come in, you may touch different surfaces, or you will come in contact with the virus, or maybe anything else. Then what we are talking about? We are talking about future. It's not present, and there may be that this risk may become reality or may not become reality, because it is the daily. For God's sake, that daily I am coming out of my home, I'm coming to my office. Okay, so then you are also, if you are going to buy vegetables, you are going out. So it means it is that risk means we are talking about future. Okay, that future may be near future, means somebody told that today. Okay, that may be today also, maybe the next few hours. So it is risk is always that we are talking about future. Few hours, it is also a future. When you start your bike from the home, maybe that you may think of that risk is there, that today I am already late, so maybe that I'll means my bike will run on 60 or 70, and maybe that overspeeding challan will be there. That is also a risk. It may happen or it may not happen. Or maybe that today there it's a cloudy, it may rain, so it means it is also a risk. So those kind of that whatever requirements you have determined here in a very you can say very brief manner, because it's just the beginning blast off of the project. So here in this review, my cursor is also visible. My cursor, this screen cursor,
Yes, sir.
it's
Yes,
visible.
yes,
Yes, good.
yes, sir.
So this very brief review is there. So from this review, whatever minimum requirements you have determined, with them associated risk will be there. Say you have determined that your client has told you that there are about 50 employees in the organization. Now there is a risk associated, because he has told about 50 employees are there. So it means 50 concurrent users will be there of the system, but they may be 100 or it may be 10. That risk is there. So you need to resolve that risk. Then he may tell you that the kind of reports which are required are around 100. Okay, now whether they are actual 100 or not. Okay, then it's always the kind of risk associated with each and every requirement. Okay, there may be, if because requirements you are getting, whether these requirements are consistent, this requirement is complete, whether this requirement is complete or not, there is a risk associated. This requirement is stated clearly, unambiguously or not, risk associated. If it is that 80% of the requirements are clearly understood, unambiguously understood, but 20% risk is associated with this. So they may be perceived in a wrong way by the development team. So these kind of risks will be resolved, and then after that you will come up with the prototype one, which is a very brief prototype, maybe on paper, maybe on model, or maybe zero level data flow diagram, anything. So we are into this spiral, innermost spiral. First level requirements, then very brief requirements, then risk analysis, and then prototype you will develop, and then you will come up with, I mean, that prototype is kind of simulation. These are all simulations. So that simulation, maybe your zero level data flow diagram is also a simulation. And then from that, you may get a concept of operation, that what this system is all about, what this project is all about. So maybe that you will come up with the concept of operation of that brief requirements, that these requirements are about this kind of operation, this kind of module. So that operation you will get. And then on the basis of that, you'll come up with the requirement plan or life cycle plan. Whatever operation you have got, you can easily assess that if this is the operation, so for this particular operation, this will be the input and this will be the output. You may plan that. And then on the basis of that, you need to plan, because if I want to get this input, then these attributes will be there of this input. And these people need to be contacted in the organization, that these attributes I'll get from Mr. A, this I'll get from Miss B, this I'll get from maybe Mr. C. So that way you need to plan that requirement plan. Okay, requirements plan and life cycle plan, how I will go about in the next step. Then your this particular spiral, this circle is completed here. Now based upon this, now again review. Now next spiral, next circle has started. Okay, so now my review will be on the basis of the knowledge I collected, the facts I collected in these. Earlier it was very brief, but these two means risk analysis. This quadrant has added something, then this quadrant has added something, this quadrant also added something. Now my means you can say from dot I have come to a little bigger dot. Okay, maybe 5 dots more added. And now if I'll do this review, it will add more things, because from that particular very tiny kind of requirements, I made a concept of operation, and on the basis of that, I came to know that for this operation I need this input, and from this input, if I'll send it to this operation after processing, I may get this output. And then I want to be sure here. So again, determine objectives, alternatives, and then constraints. Maybe further it will be added, it will be expanded. And then on the basis of this, again, risk analysis in the next quadrant, and then you will come up with the second prototype. And this prototype may be much better than the previous one. Okay, then from this prototype, again, simulation, and then you have software requirements from this prototype. Now, maybe that we can think in that term only, that you added more things to your zero level data flow diagram. And maybe from that, you can plan the requirements. Means you may get more detailed requirements as compared to the earlier one from the inner spiral. And then requirement validation. Requirement validation means whether these requirements are complete, whether these requirements are consistent, these are unambiguous. What client has told me, have I documented the true intent or not? So that will be done. And maybe through this validation, you will come to know means you missed something, you omitted something, or certain details you will identify that to complete this requirement, I need to ask these details, these parameters from the client. So then again, that will be your development plan. You'll go for this plan and you'll plan the next phase activities, everything in this, and your one more circle is completed. Okay, now you see that if we check the quadrants, first quadrant, second quadrant, third and fourth, they are linear, they are sequential in nature. But if you see the circles, these inner spirals, these are iterative in nature. So you are adding more. Now again, review will be there. Then through that review, you will identify the objectives, alternatives, constraints in a more detailed manner. Then along with that, risks will also increase. Those risks need to be analyzed. Now, let me tell you something about risk analysis. What does it mean? Actually, it's not only the risk identification. Okay, in risk analysis, there is risk identification, then risk projections, and then there is risk prioritization. And then you need to prepare a RMMM plan, risk mitigation, monitoring, and management plan. Okay, so later on it will come and we will solve a few numericals also related to that. So risk identification is, one thing is that you identify the risk. That the today's risk is that if I'll start from my home, it may rain. You identified it. Okay, then risk projections. Now you have your handset and the probability of occurrence of that rain. Okay, it's a given. Okay, so it means that it is a projection. You will project those risks that what is the probability that rain will occur. So I need to keep umbrella with me or not. If it is only 20%, okay, I can stop somewhere. It will be only a kind of scattered shower and maybe for 10 minutes. But if the probability of occurrence is 80%, I am sure that I need to keep umbrella, or forget that today I will not. I'll go by car, okay, because it is 80%. So it is that you projected that risk, and then you need to prioritize that even if it is that there are chances that today it is rain also, it is strong wind is also it's recommended, and maybe that 3 or 4 roads are dig up and maintenance is going on, so it may not be possible. And today let's take leave, okay, if it is possible, or take work from home. Okay, so it means it is that you are prioritizing. You are prioritizing on the basis of the facts which you have identified for the reasons for that risk. So risk projection is, it's a kind of that on a graph you draw those risks. On one side it is a probability of occurrence, and on the other side it is by x-axis it is probability of occurrence, and on y-axis it is the impact. On it is that on y-axis it is probability of occurrence. So now you need to multiply that probability of occurrence into impact. Impact maybe in terms of rupees in dollars. So you know that it's, if this risk is there, for this risk it's going to impact my process, my product in this way. If it is huge, it means this risk need to be taken care of early. But if its impact is very less, so sometimes what happens is that some risks get resolved as you move further. Means you started from your home, it was 40% that rain will occur, okay, but when it will occur, it is given that either 9 to 10, or it is 10 to 11, or it is 11 to 12. During this time span it may occur. You started and you know that from your home till Peck the distance is of 35 minutes, say, and you reached. So it means you started, you undergone that process, and that risk is resolved itself. So sometimes it is that more details will be added in the process, so those risks will get automatically resolved. But sometimes it is that their probability of occurrence is so high, and their impact is so high, you cannot leave them for automatically get them resolved. You need a plan for that. Okay, so there are types of approaches for risk: reactive approach and proactive approach. Reactive, as you can easily perceive, that reactive is let that fire begin and then we will firefighting. That is reactive. And proactive is that you need to plan. Proactively, you need to plan. You need to plan in prior. Okay, so in that case, it is, if it is impact is very high, then you need to go for a proactive approach. Okay, so proactive approach will be there. So I told you that it means it is risk identification is there, probability of occurrence you need to identify, impact you need to identify. Okay, so all these will be there, and then you will plot, and whichever will be nearer to the origin, they can be left for reactive approach, and which are farther, it means either probability of occurrence is high or impact is high. So that's why they are farther from the origin. So they need a proactive approach to be handled. Okay, that's why there is risk identification, risk projection, risk prioritization, and then will be risk mitigation, monitoring, and management plan. So that will be there in this risk analysis. And again, then you will come up with another prototype, and sometimes there will be operational prototype. And you see then there is design, then design verification and validation. When you have tested the design, it means you know now whatever omitted requirements are there, missed requirements are there, what incompletenesses are there. So for that you can plan, and it is a integration and plan the next phase. Do the integration if they are the independent components, and plan for the next phase. And then this will be there. And once it is there, there is detailed design, code, unit test, integration test, acceptance test, and then of course there will be service for maintenance. So that way your complete project is there with this. So now you see, I said that the linearity, sequential nature of the waterfall model that has been pegged here. That is the best characteristic you can say in waterfall model. So that has been pegged. and iterative nature in case of prototyping that has been picked, and both are clubbed and Gohim suggested spiral model. Now please look at this diagram and please do ask questions, whatever doubts you have. Let's have 2 minutes, 3 minutes here and ask your questions, please.
Sir, then why this model is only used? Like we can use only this spiral model only. Like why waterfall and other prototyping models are used then? If this is better.
Okay, good question. It is like, see, you know that one system is existing for tens of 20s or 20 years. Okay, for decades, that system is existing. It's manual. Okay, maybe university system or maybe excise and taxation department, their system, any system which is existing for years. So in that case, do you think their managers, their operators, middle level managers, okay, their superintendents, do you think that they will face difficulty in telling you the requirements? They are crystal clear about their procedures and about their operations. They are crystal clear. So it means if everything is clear, then why do I need to first develop a prototype and then go to client? And I know that it is in between, it is incomplete, and I'll go to client and again I'll get it evaluated and again I'll come back. That will be wastage of time. In that case, we need only linear sequential progression only, because it is that in the beginning you can determine the requirements and those requirements are clearly understood by your client also and by you also. So in that case, if iterativeness you will add, that will be wastage of time. I hope it is clear.
Yes.
Yes. Any other question, please? पूछो भी पूछो, माइंड में कुछ रखना नहीं है डाउट. फिर मैं क्वेश्चन पूछने स्टार्ट करूं? मैं साइड से देख लेता हूं कौन कौन बैठा. यस
सर, जो ये स्पाइरल मॉडल है, ये वाटरफॉल मॉडल से भी तो काफी सिमिलर है. उसमें भी तो हम यही करते थे कि हर एक फेज को सीक्वेंशियल जाते थे और उसके बाद फिर फीडबैक लेके फिर से सेम चीज दोबारा करते थे.
नहीं, उसमें ये नहीं है. एक पूरा करोगे, पूरा जो होगा ना, जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स एक बार एसआरएस आपके पास बन गया, उसका डिजाइन करोगे, डेवलप करोगे, उसकी टेस्टिंग करोगे और उसको इंप्लीमेंट करोगे. ठीक है. और उसके बाद जो एरर्स आ रही हैं उसकी फीडबैक थी. इफ यू नो, ओके, जो वर्टिकल लाइंस थी हर फेज के लिए, वो फीडबैक थी. एंड इट इज सी, उसमें इटरेटिवनेस नहीं है कहीं पे भी. वो लीनियर सीक्वेंशियल है, लीनियरली चल रहा है, इन बिटवीन कहीं पे भी नहीं है. बट हियर इट इज दैट आफ्टर ईच एंड एवरी स्टेप देयर इज इटरेटिवनेस. कहीं पे भी आप कंप्लीट नहीं कर रहे, डिलीवर कहीं नहीं कर रहे हो आप. एंड देन सी, do you think that risk analysis was there any term in waterfall? risk हमने कभी सोचा ही नहीं waterfall में.
Yes sir.
तो वो सारी चीजें जो हम before going to client, we have n number of alternatives, n number of steps to improve it. In this case, in case of spiral.
Okay sir.
Got it?
Yes sir.
Anything else, please? Any other doubt? Any clarification?
Sir, the spiral model depends on risk analysis.
Yes. No, it does not depend on risk analysis. It uses risk analysis as a strength, as a tool.
Okay. All right. So I was wondering कि risk analysis के अगर risk analysis करना है तो उसके लिए काफी expertise चाहिए.
Yes.
वो वाले professionals चाहिए. तो can this be a blocker depending on the project कि हम spiral model नहीं use कर पाए क्योंकि हमारे पास वो professionals ही नहीं थे?
No. Okay, let me explain first and then you can tell me that if still something is left. See, one thing is very clear that this model is not for a small project. Okay, I hope by now you have understood it. If it is a very small project, then prototyping is recommended. Okay, but if it is a huge project and still you feel that requirements are not clear, Okay, huge in a way. Say they have say 10,000 employee, 5,000 employee, 2,000 employee who are keying in data. Okay, they are using data entry or something kind of, and that data is also very crucial. Maybe very crucial, or maybe because if they are keying in that data, it's very natural that it will be a crucial data, and they need it further processing also, and further they need to do something. This risk analysis doesn't mean that it is a domain expert's task. Okay, because we are not talking about the risk associated with any kind of particular particular domain. Maybe it is banking, or it is say nuclear power plant, or it's a missile launching system, or it's a plane cockpit. We are not talking about those domain risks. Domain risks are always known to the domain expert, means the client who is the best domain expert in his particular domain. It is your in your development itself. Okay, but yes, of course, in risk there is market risk also, there is technical risk also, there is development risk also. I mean, n number of type of risks are there. Domain risks are also there, but domain risks, it will be client is known, already known to those kind of risks, and they may tell you also कि ये होगा. But from my expertise, my development team expertise point of view is that today my developer is telling me say 20 requirements. Okay, and we know that it is a iterative process, and tomorrow when we will come up with prototyping, they may come up with 100 requirements out of 20. So if it is 20 immediately expanded to 5 times, so there is a risk that the way you are planning that project, that these many programmers are required, or these many man hours are required for testing, man hours for design, for all these. So that kind of risk is there. And keep it into your mind that this is not the ultimate model. I mean, this is not the last model. Okay, it is also still, I mean, it's a long back. Bohem has suggested this. Okay, you can go through the literature. That year you will come to know. I don't remember that year. We will see that in any slide if it is mentioned. But it is, yes, of course, it is better than the previous two. But it is not that this is the best one. Okay, still there are many other. But yes, risk, if it is that it cannot be a hindrance. Rather, it is, see, if you will come to know that risk during development, or maybe during testing, that will be more dangerous, or in the beginning you are identifying that risk and you will come up with the solution. Because in the beginning, if you have, you will plan for its mitigation. Okay, risk, that's why for its monitoring also, and risk mitigation, monitoring and management plan. So if you know that this particular risk will be there, that maybe this data overflow may occur after this particular number of transactions, so you can plan accordingly. So there, in mitigation or monitoring, because in that plan also, in that table also, there are remedial actions. So they are given that remarks, in remarks remedial actions are given, so that you can proactively plan for that. And there are very few risks for which you will wait them to occur and to see, means reactive kind of. Okay, those kind of approaches are there. So risk never can be a hindrance in your progress. Rather, because later on, if you will come to know, you have to backtrack each and everything, and you're, rather than with the more speed, that will be the more hindrance kind of, blockage kind of, and you need to do your everything rework. So that will be avoided with the help of risk analysis. Yes, please, Amrit, is it clear or still?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anything else?
Sir,
Hmm.
one more thing. It
Yes,
might
please.
be a small doubt, but
Well, let it be anything.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
compared
Please,
to
please.
previous models,
Mhm.
time estimation or time planning, I think this is more difficult in spiral model. Like setting milestones for the project and delivering on those milestones, because we don't know what may come up.
Mhm. Uh, Time planning.
Yeah, like time estimation for the project.
No, why you feel that time planning is difficult in this case?
Sir, when we analyze risk again and
Mhm.
validate some requirements, something new may come out, and that may change our timeline, which can affect the whole project. So, compared to previous ones,
Do you think that in prototyping it was better?
uh, yeah, not in prototyping, but
Hmm?
in
Hmm?
waterfall, yes.
Pardon?
Not in prototyping, but in waterfall, yes.
In case of waterfall, if you missed certain requirements, okay,
Okay,
same requirement engineering phase, you missed something. So you prepared a SRS, but you missed something.
right.
Okay. So you will move further for design because there is customer interaction is not there in case of waterfall. Keep it in your mind.
Yeah,
Client will come at the time of the review at alpha testing. Prior to that, all types of testing you will done. And the acceptance testing, the first phase is alpha, then beta, and then delivery. Okay, so it means from requirement specification phase, the requirements will be reviewed, and after that, my design team will prepare everything and will develop it. And at time of alpha testing, I'll come to know that the way, because say, even if that requirement review by the client key representative is there, do you think that on paper, what you will review, the same thing 101% will be during alpha testing? It may
uh,
not be, and chances are
yeah,
very rare.
yes, sir.
Okay, so at means it will be delayed, and if it is delayed, after that it will be design. After that it will be development. In design, you know that different modules are there. So it means those missed set of requirements or those errors will get propagated n number of times, and they may become a nightmare. Okay, so because that interaction is that gap interaction gap is very huge, but in this case it is you are giving an opportunity to client with the iterative nature also, but it is linear also at the same time, because client if it is interacting with you, this is this phase. Okay, in all other phases client is not there, that you are doing it. Okay, you are reviewing, you are determining, or if even if you are interacting with to determine it, but for validation or for all these kind of, you have client here. So that way, if you consider your time planning, because if time planning risk was there in waterfall, but that risk never discussed, here it will be discussed because you have risk analysis. And any type of, let it be related to time, it is related to your design, or it is related to your testing, or it is related to your costing. All these risks will be there during risk analysis. So it means in this quadrant only, I'll come to know all my risks and my plan for that. So it means if it is a time risk, schedule risk, that I'll be out of the time, so I can plug here. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It makes some sense or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, yeah, sure. I missed, I overlooked one part of SDLC. Oh, sorry, of
Okay.
waterfall, and now it makes sense.
Okay. Please,
Yeah.
any other doubt? Please discuss.
Not from my side.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Anybody else, please?
yeah. So I added out. How does this compare to, say, the agile mindset of software development?
Agile. It will come. It will come. Okay. Agile we will discuss. Okay. Agile is also, it's a kind of that. In very brief, I can tell you, because others may not appreciate that. If you are aware of that, it's very good.
No,
Then
but then it's okay if it's going to come later in the course, then we will discuss then.
yes, I can tell you only one keyword of that. That agile is ever changing.
Yes, yes,
Okay, agility. If you will check the meaning of that, so it is a
yes.
means ever changing process, ever changing requirements, ever changing roles of developers. Okay, see the kind of challenge. Okay,
Okay,
so if it is ever changing, I know that many questions will come to your mind. It's good. Explore it. Hmm?
okay,
Till I'll
Yes,
cover that agile.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Hmm. Anything else, please? Yes. Any other doubt? Now, by the time let's come and see those. Yes, this was the theory. Please go through this, and if any term which is not clear, so please discuss. It's visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Please go through, and if there is any term which is not clear, or even a very tiny doubt, negligible doubt, even then get it clarified. Done?
So can you explain what is loops in the spiral are chosen depending on what is required?
No fixed phases such as specification or design loop. Loops in the spiral are chosen depending on what is required. See, now loops are your this spirals. Okay.
Yes.
So if it is prototype 3, okay, after that you came to product design. In prototyping, you know that in prototyping there is that you will develop, you will specify, and you will get validated. It's there in prototyping. These are the phases, if you remember.
Yes, sir.
This one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, specify, develop, and validate. So if it is there, and you came to know that this prototype is complete. Okay, your client has approved it. You need not to go to the next level. Means in this only you will complete, and here project will be delivered. Here project will be delivered. It is done. You need not to go to the next level. If it is completed at level 2, so it will be done. With this, it will be delivered. Further, its installation and maintenance will start. But if it is still there, then you need to move further in the next loop. So loops are on the basis of where incompleteness is still there, risks still are left which are unresolved. Okay, so all these, on the basis of that, you will keep on adding more activities, more detailed activities. Okay, so more circles will keep on added. That is what is this no fixed phases such as specification or design. Loops in the spiral are chosen depending on what is required. So that's why it's a flexible. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Anything else, please? Now, spiral model sectors, like I told you that these quadrants, these are the sectors, these phases. So there is objective setting, specific objectives for the phase are identified. Then risk assessment and reduction is there in the second. First was your determine objectives, alternatives, and constraints. Then second was determine risk analysis, okay, and prototyping. That was there. Means evaluate alternatives, identify, resolve risks. So that risk part is there. And then next is development and testing, then development and validation. And then here fourth was plan the next phase. So these are the sectors. Process activities in this are software specification, software design and implementation, software validation, software evolution. I mean, these are common to all. Your waterfall also, your prototyping also, and your spiral also. That's it. I think for today it's enough. Spiral model we have done. And this week, I think our 3 lectures are over, I think. Yes, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So, Monica, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Sorry, today I forgot actually. And then now we are left with only 5 to 6 minutes. So I think it's not sufficient. So what we can do is we can plan on Monday or any lab day, because lab we have every day in the week. I think Monday, 6 groups are there. Yes, probably it is every day. So Let's plan for Monday.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Monday we will discuss about lab. Monica ma'am will start and then I'll take up. Okay, so for time being, you can relax, you can study this, and please do refer to whatever I have uploaded on Classroom. These are very, very useful documents. And then SWE BOG is given, Software Engineering Body of Knowledge. It is a excellent reference, excellent reading for software engineering. It's a ACM and IEEE joint body. They have created that document. That complete is not in our syllabus, but it's really, really useful for practitioners when you are going for campus interviews or for industry. That SWE BOK is referred by all. Okay, as far as textbook, you may use Pressman or Somerville or any other book if you consider it's good. Peter Pareris is also there for from Wiley. Pressman is good, Somerville is good. These three books are good. Okay, and SWE BOK is also you can refer to. And with all lectures, I'll keep on telling you. These are slides I'm using from Somerville. Okay, later on I'll use some slides from Pressman also, and my own slides also. So you need not to worry. There are a lot of material I'll provide you, but please do refer to that and start reading. Okay, and from